So I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans. That finished a lot quicker than I expected it to, and I was just horsing a chip into my mouth. A celebratory snack box for anybody who's Irish. You'll know exactly why. But anyway, back to our broadcast.
But British people not know what a snack box is.
I don't know. Good question, Paddy. That's a great way to start off the podcast. In the comments, if there's anybody watching, do you have snack boxes over in Snack box essentially is chips fired in on top of a load of fried chicken. It's called a snack box here. I don't know if you guys got snack boxes, but I have one, and I will be tipping into it during the podcast because I'm ever the professional. But yeah,
follow Neil, he's delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're a day late. We're a day late for Aston Villa 3, Luton 2. As we mentioned on our team sheet, Tantrum, myself and Paddy were otherwise engaged after this. You guys do have snack boxes. Okay, that's good. That's good, Dean. Good. But we were otherwise engaged last night, and we couldn't get on to do the podcast. And you know what? I was texting Paddy during the game, and I was going, "Damn, this is going to be a good one during the first half." Anyway, damn, would have been a good one now to have a post-match podcast on, and then. Halfway through the second half, I was like, oh, Jesus, thanks be to God, we're not going to have a post-match podcast. And then pops up at the back post with a coaching clinic on how to head the ball into the ground. And all of a sudden, I was disappointed we didn't have a post-match podcast again. But yeah, Villa it wasn't even get out of jail, I don't think. But Villa got one of those goals that have gone against Villa in the past to allow other teams to get to where they need to go. And Villa got one of those goals last night. And yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. I don't care about the slump in the middle of the second half. I genuinely don't. We're at the stage of the season whereby 3 points will cure all that ails you. Paddy, what was your view on it? I can still hear you.
I'm glad you can still hear me because for those of you that are listening in, Neil has twisted my arm to come on here tonight because I said I was half cut, but I think I'm actually totally cut. So it's good to be here. It's good to be here off the back of 3 points. I at whatever 79 80 minutes yesterday was absolutely spitting teeth, and then we got there. We did the ugly thing that we spoke about so many times in the last few weeks, winning ugly. I don't want to have to go through the first 40 minutes of that second half ever again, because if ever there was a proverbial game of two halves, this was it. And here we are out the other side. So we've got the 3 points. We've got a very, very, very valuable 3 points and a huge, huge week ahead. And there's very little to be worried or argumentative about, apart from Michael Oliver being a dickhead and our wonderful JJ picking up what seems to be a bit of an injury. I think we come out of it relatively unscathed.
Yeah. We did. Like as I say, the worst part of it would have been if we didn't pick up the 3 points.
Exactly.
But like somebody mentioned here as Michael Huggins mentioned here, if Liverpool can score in the 99th minute, I don't give an F if we score late. And you're dead right. And I suppose, look, realistically speaking, Liverpool are going to look back if they win the league. They're going to look back in that game and go, that's one where we would have let it slip to Man City, and we didn't. And likewise, this one we're going to look back at and go, to keep that 5 point buffer on Spurs, we really had, we look back on this as being, okay, that was one where we didn't let it slip, or it could be one at the end of the season where we look back and we go, yeah, that was the one that got us over the line. But it's like winning those dirty games, or winning those games whereby the tide is turned against you, and then all of a sudden you just have one attack. I think there was only one attack in our first proper attack in 30 minutes in that game. It was really weird the way it ebbed and flowed that game, and it just we were all over them in the first half. They were all over us in the second half, and then we got one chance at the end. And a Falsa left back who's just come off the bench in a quadruple substitution, where like even commentators were kind of scratching their heads at it, almost alluding to the fact that it was panic. And then all of a sudden, one of the subs crosses it into another sub, and bang, heads it off the ground. And Kaminsky, who's a brilliant goalkeeper, he was really good last night, I thought, especially in the first half, and he's been really good all season. Nothing he could do about that. Absolutely nothing he could do about it.
No, and that's textbook stuff. You head the ball down towards the goalkeeper's feet. If he doesn't get a touch on it, he's not fucking saving it. Simple as that. And I don't mean that in a Michael Owen sense, that if you don't get on the end of a cross, you don't score a goal. If you put the ball down low enough, the goalkeeper doesn't save it with his feet. He's not getting to it with his hands. If he spreads himself big, he can pick up loads of things, or a deflection, or tip it over the bar. But what a header. What a header. Any striker in the world would have been proud of that header. Instead, it was our left back popping up at the back post. But a word of thought, just to big up. What a fucking cross from a guy.
Brilliant.
A guy who has been on the periphery, let's say, for the last few weeks. An absolutely inch perfect ball. Just stroke the ball to the back post. Absolutely on a sixpence. Bang, back of the net. What a pass. What a fucking pass. Take a bow, Mr. Diaby, because you haven't had the best of times, but you may as well wallow and deservedly wallow in what a magnificent ball that was, such a late in the day. And I'm delighted it happened before the 90 minutes, that there's no argument over scoring in the 99th minute or whatever. I'm fully aware that if this had got to 90 minutes, the scoreboard probably, or the board that went up probably would have said 3 minutes, because they really don't want us to be in the picture here. So we've just got to keep turning that screw and really turning on everybody that doesn't want us to be there, because that is the only way we're getting through in the guys that we're in at the moment. So if they don't want us, we've got to force our way into it, and that's where we are.
Yeah, and you're right. Like I usually let you talk about all the forces that be acting in the background with regards to VAR and stuff like that, and that's fine. I'm yet to be convinced by it, but it does seem like it does happen. But when we think about this game today, the 3 goals, or yesterday, should I say, the 3 goals we scored were absolutely brilliant. There were 3 brilliant goals. That header from the corner, Ollie Watkins' header from the corner, has just been overshadowed completely by his second goal. The touch for his second goal and the finish, whoo, incredible. Brilliant. Really good. Like, we're talking Harry Kane style stuff. Like, Harry Kane has been at that for the last 6-7 years in the Premier League, and everybody swooned over him. But that header from Ollie Watkins was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like that's exactly what you want front post headers to be like. It's exactly what you want. And we don't front post headers, we don't score an awful lot of them. But we scored, well, you could kind of call Douglas Luiz's one there last week against Forest. You kind of call that a front post header, but it seems like it's something that we're maybe trying to do now, is get across defenders to get at them at the front post. Usually we would have been a back post team, or we didn't really score that many headers, to be honest with you. But now we've gotten two at the front post. Obviously, one from a corner, one from a John McGinn cross against Forest, and I'm liking what we're doing there. And we've scored. I think did I read the statistic? Like Luca Dean at the back post as well. Yeah. And Luca Dean was at the back post. But yeah, look, it's that header was absolutely fantastic. But the second goal was just ridiculous altogether. Like, he stops that ball Zidane-esque as it's coming at him, and it's coming at him at a decent pace. It just takes it down right into his path. First time, bang. And what a finish. So Ollie Watkins definitely deserved 2 claps and a woo after that, because he was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was brilliant.
I bet you there's not too many British people know what 2 claps and a woo is either. Well, look, I'm going to go back a little bit, because you alluded to the fact that I have a conspiracy, or I buy into the conspiracies. Look at what happened to Nottingham Forest yesterday. They have the ball, and the ball is dropped back to the goalkeeper.
That was mad. Yeah.
Now,
you're right.
There's nobody in this fucking world will tell me otherwise that this thing has 100% got corruption written all over it. If these guys, if you're telling me that a referee is standing there with an earpiece in his ear, 2 pricks on the sideline, 1 prick standing in the fucking technical zone, and 3 pricks standing in Stockley Park can say, hang on a minute, they had the ball out on the wing. You should be dropping the ball back to Notts Forest. I'm sorry. There's something majorly fucking wrong from the top down. And I've said it, and I'll bang the drum, and I love saying it after we've won a game. But these guys are not fucking good enough by any stretch of the imagination. These guys are more concerned about how their hair looks because they know they're going to be on fucking television for the next 90 minutes. That is the fucking... We should not know who is the man in the middle. We shouldn't even know his name. Shouldn't care about who the man in the middle is because it should be done right and right for everybody. The whole thing should be transparent and fair and straight down the line. So whatever way anybody thinks about my referee's rant, and I've had 30 seconds there or whatever, I don't give a shit because that to me, that Nottingham Forest decision yesterday epitomised everything that's wrong with PGMOL, and they're great from the top down.
And in fairness, lots of people have called out that Nottingham Forest decision yesterday, and it was just so wrong in the fact that it just wasn't anything to do with the rules of the game. You know, giving the ball back to the team to Liverpool.
We didn't have the ball.
We didn't have the ball. Yeah. It makes no sense. But I can definitely agree with that one for sure. But on our own game, I thought, getting onto Michael Oliver within our own game, booking Douglas Luiz, for that, and Ogbene, and booking Rodgers. Wait a minute, I can't really remember the Rodgers one, but I remember thinking it was really, really soft as well. You know, there was a couple of bookings that were thrown out there that you're like, come on, for God's sake. Douglas Luiz now in 7 bookings. Now, in 5 games' time, the amnesty comes in for the 10 bookings. So he's probably going to be okay. You know, he's to be on. He can get 3 more yellow cards over the next 5 games. But he can't be Flahuluk with it either. So it does kind of get you thinking, you know, these yellow cards are sorry. I'm tailoring this very much so to an Irish audience today. I do apologize. But throwing in Irish words and everything into this. But Luis can't really, he has to run a tightrope for the next few games, and that doesn't really bode well. We've got Spurs, with Man City coming up as well in during that period of time. So, you know, I hope we don't have a situation where he gets that 10th yellow card and is out for 2 games, because 2 games out Douglas Luiz at the moment would be a real hammer blow, considering we've no Boubacar Kamara.
I gave out about the Douglas Luiz one on Twitter, or fucking X, whatever you want to call it now. And a lot of people said underneath that he kicked the ball away. And if that's what he did, fair enough. But if you can book a fella for kicking the ball away, you can book a fella for pulling shorts, and everyone else can fucking let go throughout the game. The guy is an imbecile. Like, seriously. If that gives you pleasure, handed out a yellow card for kicking the ball away, and you completely miss everything else that's gone on. Ollie Watkins was kicked, pulled, and dragged all around the fucking pitch.
He really was, yeah.
It was just absurd what they're getting away with. And look, nobody's going to listen to us. Nobody from the PGMOL is going to listen to us, no matter how much I fucking tag them in my posts on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to call it. They're not going to listen to us. But it makes me feel a little bit better when I come on here and give out about them, especially after we fucking won the match. And that's the most important thing that happened yesterday.
They're never going to give out to a fella eating chips on his on his podcast, or they're never going to listen to us. Should I say?
Drinking beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Paddy, we saw Ezri Konsa back again. Ezri Konsa partnered Clement Longley. We didn't need to bring Pow off the bench. What did you make of their partnership last night?
You know, it's a hard one to think about because of the fact that we were so competent in the first half, and then just all over the pitch from top to bottom just looked like somebody had given them laxatives in the second half. Just no other way of describing it. Like, it was I thought Ezri Konsa did well, given that he was out for a few weeks. He looked solid enough. There was a couple of questionable passes that you thought, oh, okay, this looks like a fella who's out of touch here for a few weeks. But look, he needed that this week. He's got the 90 minutes under his belt. We're going into a 2-week period where we've got to play 3 games in 7 days. So he's got that 90 minutes under the belt. If he doesn't, if it's Torres and or even if it's Longley and Chambers on Thursday, at least Chambers got those minutes under their belt. It's all about minutes in the tank for me at this stage. So fingers crossed, we'll all be we'll be looking at a fully fit Pau Torres come next Sunday, because I think if we can stay within a goal on Thursday night, we've done a good job in Amsterdam. And then we can go and do a job on Spurs on Sunday, whatever that job is. If it's a draw, if it's a win, once it's not a defeat, I think everybody will be very happy.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think the only question, or the only kind of and I haven't watched the game back twice today, or well, once, and then watched the extended highlights again there about half an hour ago.
I wouldn't watch the second half again.
But it was the goal that the Chong scored. Yeah, it was, where once again corner to the back post. Now McGinn was marking one of their centre halves. I can't remember. I think it might have been Mengi, but Konza was marking Carlton Morris. Is it Carlton Morris? I think his name was marking him, and Konza actually heads that ball back across the goal again, because now Morris was holding on to him now, but the two of them were cutting holding on to each other, and the ball just it was one of those ones where it just comes down, lands plump on Konza's forehead, if I'm not mistaken, goes right across the box again, and then there was this screwball scramble, and Chong puts it into the back of the net.
Yeah.
But for me, I was watching talking. I was reading the Twitter thread that Talking Tactics had up. The first thing that came to my mind is, and this isn't a drop Ezri Konza or anything like that. It certainly isn't. Anybody who listens to the podcast knows we hold him in high stead. Always have done. But for 2 games last season at the start of the season, where I did absolutely rip him on the podcast after the first game of the season last year. But anyway, but it was one of those ones whereby Konza isn't tasked, or hasn't been over the last 2 or 3 years, with being that guy who gets to the back post to stop those knockdowns. But now he has to be tasked, because Longley isn't also that guy who gets to the back post, and Pau Torres isn't that guy. We've only we've 2 real centre halves that do that, and one is Diego Carlos, and one is and Diego Carlos hasn't actually been really good at it, but Tyrone Mings has been brilliant at that throughout his Villa career. And it's one of those ones whereby if you're not used to doing it, and if you're fighting with the defender after traveling all the way around, going on the dance with him all the way around to the back post, you do get disorientated. So I can see that, but still, at the business end of the season where we are, and I know he's coming back after having a 3 or 4 game layoff, or whatever it is, but at the business end of the season where we are, it's those little things that will need to be ironed out. Now, the goal from the free kick, which wasn't a free kick, I don't think, for me, but the goal from the free kick was, to be honest with you, it was a well-taken goal. It just was a well-taken goal, but,
what annoyed me about that
it's
was
just a deep pass.
Yeah, but we conceded that goal, and I'd say maybe 5 minutes later, we nearly had a carbon copy of the same thing. Yeah. And he fizzed it by the back post, I think. And we didn't learn from it. There was no leadership to say, you fucking let him go the last time. You need to be on your toes and make sure to go with him and get goal side and get a block in of some sort. That didn't happen. So that annoyed me a little bit, that the second one happened. Whatever about the first one you can get lucky and the ball can come in. Brilliant finish. Absolutely brilliant finish. Take nothing away from it. But it shouldn't happen the second time. And that annoyed me more than the goal itself.
Yeah, and exactly, because the second one, he actually puts it right across the face of the goal. And at that stage, they were humming, and we were in a bit of disarray at that stage. But, like all good teams, we righted the ship to some degree. And then when we got ahead on the 89th minute, within that injury time, I thought we were pretty okay. We looked like we were going to see it out. There was a lot of there was we had people go down and stuff like that. Well, I thought we were professional about it once we got that third goal, which, as I say, was a peach of a cross, as you mentioned, from Moussa Diaby, and then nodded in at the back post by Luca Dean. Paddy, we saw some amount of emotion from Unai Emery at the end of that game, and he still stood up then in the post-match press conference and said, yeah, there's what, they were about the 7th best team in the league. I know he didn't say it in those words, but that's been his mantra so far. But that man is like he's just playing a fiddle in front of the cameras. Like, he absolutely is, because there's no way that, he dislocated his shoulder, punch in the air. You know, he was so happy when the final whistle went and when the goal went in as well. So I think he's beginning to believe, and that's not a bad thing. Although he always did believe, but it's not a bad thing at all because you can see that the players like Morgan Rogers was brought on. We'll hold time to talk about him in a moment because as somebody I said I wanted to see, but was brought off again, and you could see him came to the sideline, was not throwing his hands up into the air, wasn't part of the dickheads club, just came straight in. Knew, listen, this game is here, and we need to have some sort of a change. He'd come on early enough in the game. He got maybe 50 minutes, 60 minutes, or whatever, and he was coming off. And I think Unai instills that in people, and potentially with the early sub like that, maybe he even said it to him and said, "Look, if this game needs to be changed, you may come off again, later on in the game. So just letting you know there, go on there and score a couple of goals, so we don't have to change our game plan."
Well. Yeah,
he picked up the yellow card as well. Is right, yeah. But no, it's like I'm beginning to like. You can see in Emery that he's beginning to believe, or he's always believed, but you can see that he's beginning to know. Right, my plan is coming to fruition here. We have 11 games to go. 11 points ahead of United. 24 goals as somebody put up in the chat room there, and it's really interesting now to see where these next 11 games. I said it before the Fulham game. If we win these next 3 games, it's going to be an 11-game shootout to the end of the season. And we play a lot of the same teams. I think we play 6 of the same teams over that 11 period. That actually, I'll get the exact amount of teams that we play, but we play quite a few teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 11 teams that Man United play, we play as well. So it's about bettering the results against those teams. And we are in 5th place, which is now, well, based on this week, we beat Ajax and all the English teams win this week. The coefficient goes through the roof, and England will get that 5th place. And I don't really care if we finish 4th or we finish 5th. It's Champions League football, and that's what we need. And obviously, I want to finish 4th, but hey, there's no one I won't be crying if we finish 5th. Put it that way.
I won't either, because all we want is progression. We've asked for it for so many years. Dean Smith spoke about it. We need to get better from season to season. If we finish 5th, we're guaranteed Europa League football. If we win the Conference League, we're guaranteed Europa League football. It's progression. We want to win. We want to do both. We want to finish 5th or 4th and get Champions League football, and we also want to win the Conference League. And look, we've seen it in the early stages of this competition that the Thursday Sunday suits us. So let's see how the next 2 weeks. I think when we look back of the when after we play West Ham. So this day, 2 weeks, it'll be St. Patrick's Day, and I won't be on the podcast because I'll be in London and I'll be drunk and I'll be at the London Stadium. But in this day, 2 weeks, I think we'll have a much clearer picture of where we're at. If you're looking at those 2 games, Spurs, West Ham, and then the 2 games against Ajax, I think we'll know exactly where we're pointing towards the rest of the season. Because I think if we get past Ajax, there can't be anything else other than we've got a trophy here that we can go and win, and we could win very handily over 2 legs. Bear in mind that our manager has been brilliant over 2 legs in every European competition that he's entered with previous clubs. So these 2 weeks for me now are huge, absolutely enormous. And I'm so looking forward to it. I'm actually buzzing for Thursday night. I just hate the fact I have to work till 5 o'clock and I might not get on the team sheet tantrum, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's and as you say, it will absolutely open up the whole draw towards, or to where we will go, I suppose, between now and the end of the season. But Peter M asks, is 5th guaranteed Champions League? It's based on how the teams perform in Europe this year. So with the 6 English teams that are left, and
that's what I say about the next 2 weeks. But by the time the next 2 weeks are over, we will have a huge idea. Like if Liverpool go and qualify for the next round of the Europa League, if West Ham beat Freiburg, which is a really important one because Germany are one of the ones that are fighting us for that 5th position. Or sorry, it's not the 5th position, but for getting that extra position. So if West Ham beat Freiburg, that's brilliant for us. It's brilliant for the Premier League to get that extra spot. So all of these things will all add up, regardless of Champions League, where we've got so many teams still in it. Arsenal need to beat Porto, obviously, as well. So look, we just got to cheer on every other English team for the next few weeks. I really don't care who wins the Champions League. I really don't care who wins the Europa League. But if we can guarantee, as a collective group of English teams, to get that extra position, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. But it starts like Spurs is a big game that's coming up next, but we've got Ajax between now and then as well. So each game comes with its own complexities, and we will take it each game at a time, obviously, between now to the end of the season. I think that's going to really do it for this week, Paddy, on this post-match podcast. I'm going to have a little podcast tomorrow with Michael Statham from the Total Arranger podcast. We've had him on for the AZ games this season. And he's going to do a bit with us for an Ajax game as well, and that'll be tomorrow. It'll be out at some stage tomorrow. Probably will be pre-recorded, I would say. So keep an eye out for that. And then we will have the preview show, or we will have the team sheet tantrums and stuff like that then as well on Thursday night for Ajax, and the post-match stuff as well. And obviously onwards then towards Spurs at the weekend. So stay tuned for those. But for everybody, thanks a million for watching and for listening. It's nearly 10 o'clock here, and what a great win for Aston Villa in the Premier League against Luton, 3-2 with a late goal. And hopefully that's the one that propels us towards Champions League football as the year goes on. But thanks a million, everybody, for watching and for listening. We'll be back tomorrow again. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.